is that the goal for this webinar for me is actually to speak about what we did and what we actually want to achieve, and to make sure that we share as much as possible with the industry. And so I'm urging you to definitely ask as many questions as possible, and also do that in the chat when I'm running the presentation. I think I'll be very happy to stop and answer anything that is relevant. So let's start with the customer experience. So when I worked on this presentation and I presented it for the first time a month ago, it was in an event for customer experience, and I thought to myself about my day-to-day, my interaction with products every day. So I'm using Apple products, and I'm very, of course, I get a very great experience about using my MacBook Pro, my iPhone, and etc. Whenever I'm in the US, I live in Israel, but whenever I'm visiting the US, I'm using Amazon. And I cannot think about one occasion where Amazon did not ship any shipment or delayed. I always get my products on time. Uber is a great experience. And of course, whenever I'm in the US, I'm not using a taxi anymore for the last 5 or 6 years. I don't carry cash, and I get my receipts directly to my travel solution in the company. And flights, flight is here. Flight as an experience is here for a specific reason. I believe that SaaS B2B experience is very, very similar to flights. You can be sure that at some point something will be wrong and you will have a bad experience. And actually what I love to see is how different airlines are actually dealing with those bad experiences, and we'll speak about that in a later slide. And I also added Zoom here, is that I believe that B2B SaaS is a lot about video conferencing and the video conferencing experience. We are currently speaking over Zoom, and I think it's a great example of what is a B2B example, or a lot of the experiences we give to our customers. And in the end, if I summarize what I'm trying to explain here, is that the day-to-day of a human being, a day-to-day of a customer, is filled with so many different brands, services, products. And for us, B2B SaaS companies, we need to do a very, very good job to shine, to stand out in this brand clutter. And we'll speak about that also later. What is really super important here, I believe it's how we make people feel. So this quote by Maya Angelou: "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." I believe that it's a fundamental of customer success, and we should teach customer success managers how they build and maintain relationships, and I'll speak about that as well. So actually, the latest title for this presentation is that thank God we became a customer-obsessed company. And I'm starting with AppsFlyer in 90 seconds. We provide attribution, fully holistic attribution to all mobile and web marketeers. We provide also marketing analytics, anti-fraud, and omni-channel measurement. We are by far the market leader for mobile attribution, over 70% of the market share. And we are in a super hyper growth mode. We started the year around 400 employees, and we are now 880 actually. and we see over 10 billion devices, unique mobile devices on a unique monthly basis. A little bit about me. I'm a father of 3 boys under the age of 8. I was employee number 7 at AppsFlyer, and one of my main personal visions is work hard, be kind, and be as responsive as possible. I believe that this is super important, is lead by example. And while my team grew, I believe that many of my team members, they work as responsive as I do. First part of how we became a customer obsessed company is 5 milestones that I believe that led us to be customer obsessed. Number 1, back in 2012, we decided who is going to be our customer. So this is the ecosystem before we released our product. There were many advertisers, and they were working with lots of publishers, and they were measuring in silos by the ad networks. When we debuted our service, we decided that day that we're going to serve the advertisers. At the same day, we decided we are going to also serve the agencies and the ad networks, but we're not going to have any commercial relationships with both the agencies and the ad networks. And that was by far the first and most important customer obsessed decision that we decided to do that for our customers, the advertisers. The second milestone is investing in client services. So long before we decided to hire salespeople, we started to invest in client services. So in 2013 to 2014, we grew from 2 customer-facing team members to 20. In 15, 16, we opened most of our offices worldwide, and we grew from 20 to 70. In 2017 to 2018, we grew from 70 to 120 customer success managers and support engineers. And currently we're 186, and we're working on the plans for between 250 to 300 people by the end of 2020. So when I look at the team,
one of the questions I hear quite a bit from teams that are trying to figure out how do they grow, how do they scale their customer success team or their client services team like you have. You obviously have scaled very quickly and very aggressively. What perhaps is the metric? What are the 1 or 2 metrics that you use to decide the number of CSMs that you need? Is it a number of customers that drives the number of CSMs? Is it a revenue? Like, what are some of those metrics that you pay attention to that say, okay, we need to hire 10 CSMs, 2 CSMs, 50 CSMs? How do you go about making that decision?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the main things, so the rule of thumb, and this is across industry, we see teams looking at 1 customer success manager around $1.5 million in ARR and around 30 customers. But we look at many things. So we look at number of interactions, and we look at how many customers the CSM is actually able to touch within a month or a quarter. But one of the things that, and I'm going to speak about it in the third part, is about relationships. I think that by far the most important KPI or measure for me in my vision is to look about how many significant relationships a customer success manager can manage. And one of the things that we're actually starting to do now is actually starting to measure that, and then actually we do that in Salesforce. And one of the main things in Q1 will be to see what is the optimal number of significant relationships per CSM. And then I believe that it will take us to more and more things around that.
Gotcha. Very good.
So when I look at this team, and this is the entire team in June in Israel, from 12 different offices. When I look at this team, so we hire the right people, we build the nice methodology, and I believe that the most important thing for this team, that they are the voice of customer in AppsFlyer, and they are the voice of AppsFlyer in the customer field, and they connect the right people in different departments to the customer when needed. So goes to milestone number 3. In 2014, we started pushing more and more teams, and especially product and engineering, to be outbound. So here we can see these different teams goes with us to events like MWC in Barcelona, goes to QBRs and meetings with customers in China and LATAM and the US. This is in China with ByteDance. This is in Brazil with iFood. And in the end, it's to connect. I think that the best meetings with customers is not in events. It's actually when we go to their offices and we meet the teams, and we can meet an extended team and actually see how they work. Here, these are two pictures from our own event. That is an ecosystem event. It's not about selling AppsFlyer, but it's an ecosystem event, and then I can speak a little bit more about this event. But in the end, we invite around 50 customers and 50 prospects, and we speak about how we scaled our technology. This is our CTO, and he speaks about how we scaled our technology and how we monitor today. And on the right side, we actually see that it's not only sessions, but it's also, this is a chocolate making event. And we have here two great customers that I have a deep relationship with, and we have 2 prospects here. And I think that they will never forget that we made chocolate together. Here, this is something that we started to do this year. This is roundtables with engineering and product, bringing customers to Israel. So we already did it 3 times this year, and we're now planning on doing that at least 10 times next year. This is a full product roundtable. So each customer group got to sit with all different engineering and product teams for 15 minutes and tell them their needs and their challenges and what they actually require from that specific product. Is there any question?
Two quick questions jumping back. One is, sure. So Nick's asking a question here. When we go back to you mentioned there's KPIs that you use to determine how many CSMs can manage a relationship. And you said one of the biggest KPIs is the number of significant relationships a CSM can manage. So the question really there is, what in your mind defines a quote unquote significant relationship?
Yeah. So when I look at a CSM and a CSM work, I was a CSM in AppsFlyer 6 years ago and until 3.5 years ago. When you manage a customer, in the end, you can have lots of contacts in the customer side, but in the end, you have 2, 3, 4 significant relationships, significant contacts that you work with. Usually they are champions. Sometimes one of them is also a decision maker. And the relationship that you develop with them is unique. So if a CSM is doing a good job and is actually very good in relationships, sometimes when that specific contact leaves the company and goes to another company, the relationship is still on. Usually, if it's not an active customer of ours, we will see that as a prospect, and sometimes we will even convert that prospect. I think that that's definitely a very important lead generation tool. Not significant, but it's an important tool. And I think that looking at some customers we have some of these customers are with us for 8 years now. So the relationship is important. So I came back last week from Beijing. I met a Chinese customer of ours almost 8 years in, and I met someone that I met 5 years ago that I know for 5 years now. So those relationships are super important. And by the way, I'll speak about it a lot more later. We have our main KPIs are value and relationship, and I'll mention that a lot later.
Cool, very good.
Another question?
One other question related to kind of relationships is this person asks kind of the difference between customer support and customer success. So for you, kind of where's the line between customer support and customer success personnel? And for you guys, how do you get out of kind of a reactive mode and into more of a proactive mode? Because even these two last slides that you talked about, very proactive, meeting on site for a QBR, going and running, a chocolate making workshop with folks. Like, how do you draw that line between the folks that are reactive, answering support tickets versus the more proactive customer success folks?
Yeah, that's also a great question. I think until mid 2018, it was very not defined. So customer support were the more technical parts, and then customer success, we had people that are more technical and they handled more, and customer success that are less technical and they handled less of the technical things, and it was very reactive on the customer support side. Today, I think it's much more defined. So the customer success is more on the relationship side of things and the more opportunistic side of things, looking to see how we can grow either value or relationship with the customer. And the support side, not reactive only, but they are the problem solvers. And we have now a program, I believe that we already have above 100 customers, top customers, that are on the proactive support program. So we are proactively contacting these customers, and we see a significant reduction in number of tickets from those customers, just
that's
from
really
being
cool. Reactive
to them. So I think that that's definitely a great program, but it's another subject for maybe another webinar.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that definitely fits a lot with kind of the models that we see. We kind of see how overall the market of customer success has evolved over time. If you roll back the clock, 8-9 years, there wasn't really a lot of customer success type roles. Everybody was kind of reactive customer support type roles. And over time, as we've evolved and built, this whole ecosystem up, you've started to see more people move to more the proactive management and reaching out and making sure that customers are successful, happy, growing. And really the focus there is, like you said, it's those customer success folks tend to be able to focus more on growth. That's really where it seems like everyone's trying to get to.
Fully agree.
Cool. All right, let's keep going.
So here, still connecting with customers, this is customers in our office. And it's not only to show them the product and speak about products and customer advisory board, it's also to show them the AppsFlyer culture and us in the office. Fourth milestone, and I think one of, again, very significant one, get your CEO on board. So here, this is from a weekly report between me and Oren, the CEO, in 2017, speaking about Jeff Bezos' interview that we saw, and I asked him, are we a customer-obsessed company? And then he said, absolutely yes. And then a few months after, we had an all-ends with the entire company. We spoke about how we organically build a customer-obsessed culture, and two very important points that he then released after that in a blog is place our customers at the forefront of every decision we make. And the second one is being customer-obsessed is all about how we make people feel about AppsFlyer. While feeling is a complex metric, there is no doubt that it's driven by the user experience. So here, connecting to the quote of Maya Angelou, connecting to the customer experience, and this is by far the most important thing for us as a company, and it defines us, and it helps other departments that are not customer-facing to think about the customer when they decide about the priority of a feature, to think about what is the better customer experience in debt collection, or how we send an invoice, etc., etc. And we can speak about more of these things later. And the fifth, and again here it's again a great milestone, is drive, and this is something that we say to a lot, many teams a lot, is how can we make a wow in every interaction, or what is a wow experience? So again, doing events on our rooftop, inviting customers, and inviting all people from all departments so they can connect. And again, when we bring customers to Israel, it's not only about product or connecting them to our company and showing them our culture. It's also connecting them to Israel. Some of, or I think here from, this is a group from Europe, 70% of this group was never in Israel before. So connecting them to Israel and show them the Innovation Center. Here, this is actually from an event I was in Chiang Mai in Thailand. Again, a customer event. The event was with customers. It was a sessions event, but then the day after, we did some activities. And in this activity, we went and we took elephants to a trip, and then to bathe them in a river. So I don't think any of our customers or prospect in that activity will never forget that they took an elephant to bathe in a river. This is from Napa. This is from the same event. And here, again, we are not pitching customers here. It's not a sales event. It's actually customers and prospects sharing with each other. Here, speaking about our product, and here actually another customer speaking about these methodologies, and just sharing and educating each other is actually elevating the relationship we have with them. This is, it's in Hebrew, but this is a feature that we turned around for a customer in 4 hours, and they publicly published that on Facebook, saying that they are, of course, they were wowed. And then we started sending cakes. And here, actually, I connect this to the airline, to the flight example that I showed in the beginning in the customer experience side. And I said that airlines can be sure that they are going to have bad experiences with customers. And actually, we in B2B SaaS, you know, it's all software. We will always have issues from time to time, and we can be sure that we will have bad experiences for customers. So when we started sending cakes in milestones for customers, when they raise money, when they are becoming 2 years old, or when they rebrand their company, we actually said to our customers that we remember them, that they are super important for us, and we want to celebrate with them. So this is all to elevate the relationship, and we do that a lot and more, even for customers going on IPOs. Here, a customer of ours raised $1 billion, and we send them a dessert for the entire cafeteria, and it says that AppsFlyer is proud to celebrate with Rappi. And I think that that's very, very important to think about. And I'll give more examples also on small things that we can do with customers, and we're doing all the time.
So I've seen a few questions here. I mean, like these are awesome examples, right? So you've got, you know, running really cool customer events. I think most of us would be, you know, awestruck if we could take all of our customers to an elephant bathing event in Chiang Mai. Even the cakes, all of that is really cool. And I'm curious, like a lot of the questions that are coming through right now relate to kind of budget. And how do you decide who gets that type of treatment? For you guys, does everyone get to, you know, come to an event hosted by your team in Israel? Do you foot the bill for that? Is that only for certain kind of enterprise strategic accounts? Or is this just part that's ingrained within your culture that we give this same level of service and experience to every single one of our customers. How do you guys, I guess, prioritize or think about the different events or reach outs that you do?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I'll give you the short answer first, and then I'll try to elaborate. So the short answer is common sense. It's, I think when we started and we were a very small company, and we started to do some of these things, or the baby steps of these events, it was common sense. Who are we going to invite, and who are we actually going to pay for the flight ticket or for the hotel? But I think so. That's the short answer. For the longer answer, in the end, it's definitely for tier 1, tier 2 customers, to strategic customers, long-term relationship customers, and I think that one of the major things that we as customer success organizations we need to identify is also the customers that are advocates. Not only our advocates, we might be in the beginning of the relationship, maybe they are not our advocates, but people that tend to be on the very free or very, they want to be advocates. I think that's very important, because in the end, when it's very successful and we grew and we are very successful, now we have more of these events. So the events that we saw, Chiang Mai and Napa, we have 6. We did 6 of those events this year. 2 were mass events for 600, 700 people, and it was it was a half-a-day event with no elephant bathing or whatever, and it was for all levels of individual contributors to directors. The other 4 events were what I call prestige, and they were for the CMOs, CEOs, or maybe director level if we didn't get relationship with the C levels. And I think that's the important part, because in the end we want to build something in the ecosystem. I think that everyone here on the call, for your vertical, for your specific industry, you need to understand what does your product, does your company means for the ecosystem. What is the ecosystem? What do you play in the ecosystem, and what can you build? So I believe that what we build in our ecosystem is actually one of our growth reasons, because it built the network effect. And it's,
gotcha. Very good.
These events and this ecosystem actually fuels itself. And about the budget, it's a more tricky question. And in the end, we do an event, we then attribute what happens after that event in the next 12 to 24 months, and then we decide if we are going to budget more of these events.
Cool. Very good.
Cool.
Let's keep going.
So, customer success vision. This is actually an equation that I didn't attend the Gainsight event 4 years ago, but then I saw this equation somewhere, and then it was CS equals CX plus CO, but we changed it to be CX multiplied by CO, because we believe that if customer experience is 0 or customer outcome is 0, then there's no success of the customer. And I'll speak a little bit about the 2 parts of the equation. So customer experience, so you go and you buy, I chose their B2C example, but it's same for B2B. You go and you buy a product, and I bought a MacBook Pro, and I opened the MacBook Pro, and maybe I even used the Genius Bar to help me install something, and this is the onboarding experience. Then 2 months after, the screen got broken, and I went again back to the Apple Store to get it fixed. I think that the service in an Apple Store is extraordinary. There's an amazing set of expectations. You know exactly when you are going to be serviced and how long it will take. That's the service experience. And in the end, this is the product, and it's an amazing product, and it's an amazing experience. So for me, customer experience is the onboarding experience multiplied by the service experience, multiplied by the product experience. And if you look very closely on this equation, it will work for both B2B and B2C. In B2C, it will be a lot more in the product experience. In B2B, it's a little bit more balanced, but a lot around the service experience. The customer that is with us for 8 years is with us for 8 years because of our product, but is definitely is getting very good service, and he knows us. So for me, experience obsessed is one particle of the customer obsessed. Set of expectations for everything we do is one of my main focuses for 2020. I want to take a B2B service for the next level. So I will be able to say that our set of expectations is B2C grade. And while in every interaction, this is the place where I want to mention another example. It's not only about the cakes and the events. Wow in every interaction is also when you get an email from a customer, while you have 20 emails in your mailbox, but this is a top tier customer, and you see that you can turn around that email in 20 seconds, and this is the email that you now take, and for 20 seconds, you answer that email. That customer now knows that is the first priority. He feels very good about getting a very fast response, and it raises the trust that they have in you. Customer outcome. So on that part, there's a clear thing. A company comes and they buy a product, and in the end, it saves time, or saves a budget. For example, our product saves budget or optimize the budget. So the ROI is clear. And then I added the E squared as an efficiency and effectiveness. So I guess if you think about your product, is also making a team or teams work more effectively. So in the end, customer outcome is for me, and I think that there's a few very important items here, is listen and understand the customer goals at all stages, deliver on their needs, and reiterate that that customer that you started working with us 8 years ago is actually working on something else today, and their needs next year will be different, and we need to make sure that we understand their needs at all times. So our goal is to sell the AppsFlyer value for the duration of the customer lifetime. And if I summarize, customer outcome is around all around value, and it's the first KPI that we released in 2018. And I'll be happy to speak about that. And customer experience is all about relationship. It's the more emotional aspect of things. And it's our second KPI that we release by the end of this month. And it's both represents in our mission statement for customer success. It's listen and learn and help customers achieve their desired outcomes while building long-term relationships. And if I summarize these presentations with 3 key takeaways, so experience is how you make your customers feel, and it's what they will remember. 2, get your CEO on board. And 3, know your math.
Awesome. Yeah, that was really good. I think we'll all take a ton away from that, especially around how we could all improve our customer experience. I think there's a lot of really cool lessons that we can all learn. And really appreciate you taking the time, Ziv. I know it's late in the evening for you there in Israel. I think we all really appreciate it. Robin, one of our attendees, just asked if you can rewind back to the final slide, and that one there, so she can record the key takeaways. And for all of you, I'll be sending out the recording, as well as you all actually have the slides. So if you want to go back and review any of the slides, I'll send those all out also. So don't worry about it. If you missed 1 or 2 little things here and there, you'll be able to go back and review everything. But again, really appreciate Ziv taking the time, and as well as appreciate all of you taking the time. We all know this is a busy time of year. Many of us are trying to close out our calendar fiscal years, and this is all going to be really good stuff for us to not only help us get 2020 started, but really help us end with a strong 2019. And if any of you are in addition to the key takeaways that Ziv talked about here today, if any of you are thinking hard about how you're going to improve your customer success team, your processes, if you're looking for a partner to work with on the software platform side, I'm happy to have any of my team reach out to you or answer any questions around how you could use a software platform to improve your customer success, and more kind of implement a methodology and process behind how you actually improve your customer success. I'm happy to help with that. But overall, just really appreciate everybody taking the time. And Ziv, if there's no last words, I think we will wrap it up there. But thanks again for everybody.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one. And like I said, I'll send out the recording, and hope everyone has a great day.